Hi everybody, welcome to Lunchtime Live. I'll wait until I see a few people. Today we're going to be talking about the California scrub jay. Hi Anne. Just going to wait for a few more people to tune in and then we'll get started. Hi April. I think two's enough. Hi Donna. So, okay, let's get started. Today we're talking about the California scrub jay, Apelacoma californica. So you might have noticed the title, which is California scrub jay singing the cacophonous blues. Does anybody know what that means? Cacophonous. It means ear-splittingly loud. So if you have a jay in your yard, you will know that this is true. They can be very loud. Hi, Joni. Hi, Jana. So, jays might remind you, that sound might remind you of another bird, the crows. And that's because they're in the same family. They're both in the corvid family. And you may also know a little something about corvid is that they're very smart birds. So the corvid family has a brain to body mass that rivals chimps and cetaceans like whales. So they're very smart. Let me show you what they look like. They can also, when they sing, mimic red-tailed hawks and red-shouldered hawks. So that they can sound really menacing. Hi, Jose. Okay, so here is the California scrub jay. And you can see that they're this bright blue. They have kind of a tannish white, grayish, light gray underneath. And then they have the gray on their back. They have a little bit of a gray cheek, but the main thing is they have this white eyebrow and they also have a white bib. And I should have gotten a picture of them from the front because this blue goes all the way around like they're wearing a blue necklace. They have really long tails and they have long legs, long spindly legs. And their wings are kind of rounded. Their beak, you can't see by the picture probably, but it has a little hook on it. And that's because one of their habitats is the oak woodland, and they need to be able to open acorns. And they are omnivores, so they need that little hook. But I'll tell you a little more about what they eat later. Hi, Jerry. So their location is along the Pacific, anywhere from like Washington all the way to Baja. And their habitat is, again, oak woodlands, or the scrub, just like we have here, the California coastal sage scrub. So their territory is year-round. They don't migrate, so this is a local bird, year-round resident, and they're very territorial. So you may also have them in your yard, and if you do, you'll know just how territorial they are because they will own it. And they might even own your neighbor's yard, just for good measure. Sometimes they will let go of their territory in the winter, and the fall and winter, because they'll kind of take in what they call floaters, which is birds that don't have a territory, other jays that don't have a territory yet, and they'll flock a little bit. But come spring, they pair up. It's just the two of them, and they are monogamous. So my jays, I will be telling you some stories about them because I've had two in my yard this is their third year. Mostly when you come here and you see them, you might see them in the trees, you might hear them first because they are loud, and you'll see them hopping around. So I just want to show you this picture because it shows their legs a little bit better. See how they have those long legs? So that they're eating peanuts in this picture, but they eat a lot of different things. So when you see them, if you see them in a flock in the winter, they have a hierarchy, just like crows, right? So there's going to be a boss. And if you watch them long enough, you can see which one is the boss. And a group of them is called a band, it's called a party, or it's called a scold. So crows are a murder of crows, and jays are a scold of jays because they are so loud. So again, they are monogamous and they pair up in spring and summer. And the nests, the female or the male chooses. It doesn't really matter which one. Hi, Tracy. And they might nest in a laurel sumac or an oak, or at my house, they are nesting in one of those big palm trees with the beard. So they're inside the beard. It takes them about 10 days to build a nest. It's about 10 inches across, and it's pretty big sticks. And they're very messy. I don't know why. My door is about, I don't know, 10 feet from the tree, and whichever twigs they decided they didn't want, they would throw on my doorstep. So every time I went outside, I had this huge mess for 10 days. And they line the inside of it with, grass and finer material. Both of them build the nest. Both of them choose the nest. So they work together as a pair. Only the female will sit on the nest and incubate. And jays typically feed each other all the time, but especially during nesting season, the male will feed the female because she's the incubator. Just to tell you a little bit about the nest that I had, one of the babies either fell out of the nest, or it may have kind of started to fly a little bit. Some birds will raise their babies on the ground, just a portion of their upbringing, so to speak. And anyway, I was worried about this one in my yard because he wasn't ready to fly. And I have feral cats coming through because I don't have a cat, so my yard's sort of no man's land. And so I wanted to protect it from these cats. So I put it up really close to my house on one of those tree philodendrons, so it was right by my window. And it was kind of a neat place because this was maybe 5 yards from the tree. And the parents immediately found it, and I could watch them come down and feed it. And they're vigilant, one of them is always watching the property, and they feed it and they visit it, and they appear to be very good parents. And then one day I heard all this racket, and I thought, oh no, it's a cat. And what I discovered was that it was fledging the nest. And when it was doing it, I think its parents were just full of advice and were just squawking and squawking, and that was that. So just to back up a little bit and tell you about the eggs, they're a pale green with an dark olive green splotching. They're kind of pretty eggs. And they usually have 1 to 5 eggs, and it takes about an 18-day incubation and about an 18-day nesting period. So let's talk about what they eat. They are omnivores, and again, that little hook on their beak, that's so that when they live in the oak forest, they can break open big seeds like acorns. And up there, in the more forested areas, they also will eat the ticks off of mule deer, which is sort of gross, and I've never seen that. And they eat grass seeds, so you'll often see them hopping around and lunging, hopping on the ground. Unfortunately, they will also eat other birds' eggs, and probably the babies as well. So that's a not so nice thing about jays. In your backyard, they like peanuts, they like walnuts, they like almonds, they like sunflower seeds, and they like cherries. So if you want to feed them and have them in your backyard, that's how to do it. Now here's the really interesting thing about jays. They are a food caching species, and that's food hiding. So they can have in their territory like 200 different places that they've hidden foods. And the really smart thing about them is that they remember where they hid the food, but they also remember what kind of food. So, you know, when you go to the grocery store and you have your menu and you buy the different things, you know that one of those meals needs to be cooked maybe before the other ones because it's going to spoil sooner. Jays are the same. They know just which catch to go back to and what to eat first. So that is called an episodic memory, when you can sort of time travel in your mind and remember things and plan ahead. It may also be called metacognition. I read both. So they also steal food from other birds. And once they start stealing, it occurs to them, and this also shows how smart they are, it occurs to them that other birds might steal from them. So they're basically sitting around staring at other birds, seeing what they can steal, and then they do this thing that's kind of like the shell game. You know that game where you have like 3 shells and you put something under one of them and then you switch them all around, and then the other person has to guess, well, which shell is it under? They sort of do that with their food, right? They try to trick each other as to where that food is. And they don't do that until they have stolen themselves. So I guess it takes a thief to know a thief. They have these manipulative behaviors, and it requires them to kind of think about what other birds are thinking, which just goes to show how smart they are. Again, their brain to body mass is like the chimpanzees and the cetaceans, the whales, the dolphins and things. Another thing that jays do that's unique is they have funerals. Hi, Juanita. So they have funerals. If they see like a hawk after catching one of their own, they will mob it. The same as I'm sure you guys have seen crows mobbing hawks. Well, jays will mob predators too. And if their fellow scrub jay dies, they will sort of scream out loudly. And again, they can sound like a hawk. And they call all of the other ones in the vicinity, all of the other scrub jays. And you'll see like 15 of them or something, you know, a large number, just standing around for 30 minutes around the dead body. And that's called a scrub jay funeral. And then they won't eat there for several days. So that's unique. As far as predators go, house cats. House cats we have a big problem with feral cats here at the estuary. So, especially in the springtime, please keep your kitties at home because they kill a lot of things just for fun. Also, horned owls, hawks, squirrels, surprisingly, and snakes. If a snake happens to climb a tree. So their lifespan should be about 15 years. So it's a pretty long-lived bird. Does anybody have any question about jays? Anybody have them in their yard? Well, if you don't have them in your yard, come here and you'll see them on the ground, in the trees, pretty much everywhere, and you'll hear them first because they're loud. I had one other thing to say today, and that is today is Maria's birthday. So if you guys want to say happy birthday to Maria, you can write it in the comments. I'm going to make her watch today. She usually does. So I think that's all I had to say about jays. Let me show you a few more pictures before I go. Okay, so here was the main one. Hi, April. Here's the one eating peanuts, but here's the really cute one. Get ready. There's the baby. It's like they just have that great big mouth. And you can see the little eyebrows already starting to show. And here is a fledgling, right? So, oh, this is the one that you can see the little eyebrows. They're starting to look like jays. Okay, and eventually we have that. All right. Jose says he raised one at the fire station in Pine Cove, California. They say that of all the sort of wild passerine, you know, the songbirds, that the jays are easiest to make friends with. And I think that's because they're just so smart. They know we'll do anything for them. All right, see you guys. Next time I'm going to be talking about killdeers, so stay tuned for that. Talk to you later.